Okay, everybody, I'd like to call this special town board meeting to order. It's Wednesday, October 11th. The time is 6:33 PM. I'd like to ask everybody to please rise for a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get into the agenda, I'd like to just recognize a few people. The town of Dover Town Board commends and thanks Girl Scout Troop 10478 for their exemplary community spirit and volunteer service to the town of Dover, presented on this 11th day of October 2023, signed by myself, Richard C. Yino, Town of Dover Supervisor. Madam Clerk, you want to elaborate what this was for? It was for cleanup and volunteer and community service?
Yeah, sure. And there are two other additional
Yep.
certificates. Over the weekend, some Girl Scouts took it as their own initiative when they saw the need for some cleanup of trash down at Boyce Park and took it and ran with it. And that is well worth commending for young people. And so I'm grateful that the town board's willing to thank them publicly and issue
Absolutely.
certificates.
Thank you very much. The Town of Dover Town Board commends and thanks Lila Staub for her exemplary community spirit and volunteer service to the Town of Dover, presented this 11th day, October 23, signed by myself. And the Town of Dover Town Board commends and thanks Serena Staub for her exemplary community spirit and volunteer service to the Town of Dover, presented this 11th day of October 2023. Thank you very much, ladies. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, public comments and questions on agenda items only. If you have any questions or comments, please approach the podium. Seeing nobody approaching the podium, we'll move on. Public hearing, I'm going to make the motion to open a public hearing for public comment on a 2024 Dutchess County CDBG project application. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by myself and seconded by House to open the public hearing on the CDBG grant application, sorry. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Public hearing is now open. This is an application that we were taking, it was done by the pedestrian task force, I'll call it, right? The study that was done. This was right at the top of the list of what people thought the committee needed to be done. Several people sat on this committee, a few elected officials, residents from the town of Dover, along with the county. It was spearheaded by Katie. And what you're looking at on the screen right now is the crosswalk at Route 22 and School Street. Basically, the main thoroughfare from parking to go to our stone church. That's what it is used mostly for. You can see that in the black will be the new crosswalk that we are proposing to do and applying for. It'll be done with proper curb cuts on the sidewalks, proper distances from the intersections, and much safer with signs, and I believe blinking lit signs is also going to be in the application as well. So this was the next project that was chosen by the people, by the committee, sorry, and this is what we're applying for. Are there any questions? You want to elaborate?
You're correct that the committee prioritized it, and then not at this Dover Day, but the last Dover Day, we had a display and invited the public to identify their priority, and this was one of the high priorities. So with this already in hand and a pedestrian plan that's adopted, it's ready-made for a CDBG grant, which is, Community Development Block Grant. The purpose of those grants are to improve infrastructure, public facilities. Dover is what they call categorically qualified. The whole town is qualified as a result of census data. So this is just another infrastructure improvement that will benefit the school, fire company, Stone Church, people who live in the hamlet, and students. So it's a win-win. Win-win-win.
Absolutely. with the track record that we have on grant applications. Hopefully, cross the fingers, it'll look good. Anything else? Any questions or comments from the public? I'll move that we close this public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing, seconded by Murphy, brought by myself. All in favor to close the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Public hearing is closed. On the grant, on the project application, sorry. At this time, I'd move that we continue the public hearing on the updated draft solar energy legislation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to continue the public hearing, the updated draft solar energy legislation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It is back open. We did turn over all the comments and/or suggestions or opinions to the committee. They have not met. Their meeting is next week. Next week. So I have spoken to several of the members. They're going to discuss it. They're going to go over the things that were submitted. A couple of the members feel that it is adequate at this point, but they are going to go over it again as a group. And then this week, we received a copy of the legislation that the town of Pauling is putting forward for solar. So what I've done is I asked the secretary to forward that on, and it's another look at just some more possible zoning. And maybe we missed something, maybe they have something in there that we didn't see, or maybe the people that made suggestions didn't see. So they're going to look that over as well. And then we'll bring it back. I think we keep this open until the next meeting in October. Tom?
Yeah, I would
Is that right?
suggest that.
Keep this meeting open as well till October 25th, the next meeting. And by then, we should have a comment and/or a report from our committee, from the chairman, Rich Rennie Jr., and we will move on from there, hopefully. And if not, there's no rush. We need to make sure it's right. We can get it to the county when it's ready. All right? Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Good? Okay. So with that, I'll move that we keep this public hearing open to the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Could somebody second?
Oh, I'm sorry. I move that we keep this meeting open to the 25th of October meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been brought and seconded by Murphy. All in favor? Aye.
Perfect,
Sorry.
thank you. Thank you.
All good. One of those.
Okay. The main reason we're here tonight, if you can all go to your budgets. This, it's a tough year, everybody. And like I did last time, I will thank the ladies in my office, the department heads throughout, Jason especially. Jason can find a way to save money. He does. It helps in the long run. So, we all know some of the pages we just go right by, but if you can go and just go right to the first page of where all the lines start. That's going to be 16 of 80. Count number 1010, the town board. Due to our tight restraints, I will say that the first thing I did cut is increases in the salaries for the 4 board members. And you'll see on the upcoming pages myself as well as the budget officer line. So you see on that page that the line is staying at the same for you 4 board members.
Yep.
You can go to the next page, town justices. Town justices are considered full-time elected officials. They are in the standard raise line, which we always try to accommodate to the contract that we hold here in the town. So you see the increases of 4% raise as per the contract with the highway, and we follow suit with everybody else as well. So the justices and their clerks and the constables, 4%. You see that increase? Okay. Down on the below, all pretty much standard. They all stay the same. All right? Next page, the supervisor sheet, account number 1220. There is a typo. You can see that we mistakenly increased my salary. That is a mistake. That was not supposed to read 27,851. It is supposed to read what it was adopted in 23, 26,780. Okay? Confidential secretary, bookkeeper, and the clerk, they follow suit with the raise increases that we discussed already at 4%. Any questions? Tax collector, full-time elected official, standard raise. The budget officer, that is also a mistake. It followed suit with when we were just punching in the numbers. Budget officer will stay the same, but you notice no increase for the assistant. That is the bookkeeper in my office. She is supposed to be getting what my increase shows on this paper. You understand that?
Gotcha.
Everybody get that? Okay. So the increase you see in mine will be switched to hers. My apologies. Assessor and a senior clerk, standard raises. Clerk, deputy clerk, clerk claims, and the intern. The clerk, full-time elected official, 4%. Deputy clerk, 4%. And then the supplies downstairs, down at the bottom of the page, no major increases at all.
What's translation device?
The state now requires a translation device be present during court. Is that the right way to say that, Katie? This came up to us,
I don't know if it requires it, but
they
because
requested one.
the, I believe, and attorney, counsel might be able to help us with that, but isn't translators required to be certified now?
Yeah, the
versus-
court, OCA requires that the translators for court be certified. You can't just use any
Yep.
So this is
translator. They have to have certification.
And we also still have to maintain the gentleman that we use, correct? We still have to have,
We have to provide an interpreter.
yep. So that's the $600 increase, which is the device, okay? The next page, 1420, the attorney. Thank you, counsel, for keeping that at the same. Much appreciated. But you do see an increase in litigation and local laws. A increase of $6,000. That is due to the amount of the zoning changes that we will be making, as well as the litigation that we are in with 2 separate cases throughout the town. That little bit will help a little. Okay?
Every little bit helps.
Next page, account number 1440, our engineer. Once again, Joe, thank you very much. But due to some additional work that is coming up, we had to have a slight increase, sorry. His retainer stayed the same, but it's just the amount of work that we're going to be putting onto him. He had to increase the additional work over and above, which is totally justified. Records director, that's within our town clerk's office. Account number 1620, buildings. All right. Notice the increases in the electric bill, town hall, recreation, and a cleaning service. Cleaning service stayed the same for 2 years in a row. Okay, our custodial service that we have for our rec buildings, town hall, Tabor Wing on special events, and highway. Okay? First time in 3 years that or 2 years he's increased that. Okay, so you see a slight increase there, all right? You see the increase in electric, it's over $2,800, and that is after shopping the best provider that we found, that we signed the agreement to this year. It's still up and over that amount. 1660, 27 of 80 stays the same. 1680, page 28 of 80. IT, the media clerk, due to the amount of meetings and some work schedules with our one and only, we are thinking about adding one, if not 2, to give her a hand. And with the price and the minimum wage going up, we had to add a little bit money to that. as well as to add to the staff and the hourly rates, okay? You go down though, point 2, the server replaced 3 with 1. We are making a move, we're making a change, so we did save a lot of money there. We went from 30,000 to 16,200 is what we're proposing, okay? We are going to a cloud-based, Katie?
Or our inactive record storage, so not for everything, but it will take the place of our shared service collaboration between the 4 communities. We'll basically discontinue that, and we'll all go off on our own, and it significantly reduces the cost because we don't have to have a specialized server just for Laserfiche items, which are our inactive records. And it'll give us the same functionality, so we still can scan, and the storage is at the comparable level of an industry standard, like an Amazon. So we're pleased to be able to do that, but we will miss our partners because they've been just the best for the past 8 years.
Yep. Then the increase down into point 4.
Yeah, got a question. Just,
go
it's not
ahead.
a lot of money, but the Optimum charges, they're less than last year at Highway and Rec, but more at Town Hall and the charging station.
The
Again,
char-
not a lot
the-
of money,
the
but-
Is
char-
that because of the charging station?
The charging station was lowered because of the use, correct? Remember? We got the letter on
Internet
that.
access.
Yeah.
Just because of usage?
I can find out. We received something, and I can get it to you. All right? The Logically IT, our IT consultants, increase in price. It's the price of doing business. We negotiated with them. Nicole has been talking with them, and they actually came down to the price that you see. Okay? Page 29 of 80, 1910. Insurance budget estimates, okay? We were told to figure on an 11% increase. All right? It didn't come in yet. The solid numbers are still waiting, but they did tell us to figure on 9. This is just the A fund liabilities. This isn't the medical. That's a bigger one down deeper into the budget. All right, but you see the increase of upwards of $9,000. All right. Next page, 1920. Association dues, Finance Officers Association dues, so on and so on. All right. Minor changes from 1,100 to 1,200. Again, that's the price of doing business with the association. And the Recreation Park Society membership went up a little bit as well. Okay? 1922. The conference that they attend every year went up. They're at one at this time, actually, for this year. And the lifeguard, first aid, Red Cross training went up. That had to go up double because of the price of doing business, as always. All right? 1924 mileage, we actually lowered that based on the usage this year and the estimated rest of the year going through. You got to remember, we cut back a lot because we all agreed that it was time and it was needed. We purchased a vehicle for Recreation Department, so a lot of the mileage that we would pay out to our workers for using their own vehicle went away when we purchased that vehicle, so we were able to lower this a few $100s. MTA payroll tax, that is what it is. Contingent budget estimates and expenditures. This is, remember we started this 2 or 3 years ago, both on the A side and the D side. This is the A side contingency line of $30,000. We kept it the same, but once again, like last year, with the severe increase in fuel costs is what ate it up last year. This year, what's eating this up is litigation costs. So the $30,000 as of right now is gone. So it's the litigation costs that are brought upon us, and that's where it went. So we are keeping it in there because in the long run, it helps out when it's needed, okay? Next page, 3120, that's page 35 of 80. This is the Dutchess County Sheriff Patrols, our police budget, so we call it. Sheriff Patrols for events, we're keeping the same. Sheriff patrols and road safety, we're keeping the same. Constable training, we're keeping the same. Ammunition, we're keeping the same for our constables to go to their training. Okay? It was close. We looked at this again, still without the carnival. That helps, because that was a 4-night expenditure of half the bill. The town was always accommodated, the county. So we're able to keep it the same this year with no increases. All right? Next page, 3510, dog control officer, standard 4%. Veterinarian, SPCA, we actually were able to lower based on the use this year. If things stay true to what they are, we should be fine, and that's the way we're going with it. Dog food and supplies kept the same, safety gear kept the same. What we are working on is the constables, which I failed to say earlier. We are working on reaching out to our senator and our assemblyman. Their vests are due to be replaced. They have a time limit, a lifespan on the vests that they wear, so we're working on that. 3620, building inspector, standard raises, code enforcement officer, that's Mr. Anderson, Mr. Johnston. The clerk and the secretary, standard raise. Building department clerk, standard 4%. Zoning administrator, 4%. Okay, standard increase, again, based on what the contract gives to the highway, we keep the same throughout. Registrar and deputy registrar, which is a stipend within the town, again, out of our clerk's office, standard increase. Supplies down below, we kept the same except for the acid-free paper for the historical records, correct? That went up, price of doing business. The next page, 4090. You go down to the point 4. We had hopes and we had some thoughts of bringing a charging station to the parking lot here, and we were actually researching buying it, at least a hybrid for our building department, to keep we're a green town, so we were going to go that way. There are a lot of grants, a lot of available funding paths to take, and based on the tight budget that we're in, you'll see that $10,000 that was requested got cut out at this time. Okay? That's the EV charging station, all right? International Council of Local Environment Initiatives, all right? That wasn't in there in '23, but we need to have it in there this year. That's $1,200, all right?
Supervisor, that was actually in the dues, but it got transferred over here, so it would keep it in the same department most
Okay.
more or less. So it continued from last year.
Okay. 5010, Highway Superintendent. Like again, standard raise, 4%. Secretary to the Highway Superintendent, 4% as well. 5132, garage. This is the vehicle and equipment fuel, tower for their radios, tower lease, uniforms, lab testing for the drug and alcohol testing that our guys are required to do with CDL licenses, cylinder rentals and everything. You're going to see the price in the fuel. Vehicle and equipment fuel, $60,000 to $65,000. I'm going to give you an example. In 2020 and 2021, we were able to maintain the same figure of $45,000. Actually, we went just a little bit over. We went over in 21. 22, we had to raise it to $48,000. From $48,000 in 1 year, we had to go to $60,000, and we are going to be right close. If we keep the average of July and August, which in September, we had the storms in there, so that added a little bit. But we are going to be probably right at 60 or a hair over. So this year, you see that I am proposing $65,000, and that's just town vehicles and highway. Okay? So from 2020 to now, it's gone up $20,000. And 2020 was a budget that we adopted as board members, from my predecessor, and then 21 is when I started submitting. So that's a lot of money in 3 years. And our usage is in the same ballpark every year. Every year, the usage is in the same ballpark. Next page, 7020, Recreation Administration, Recreation Activity Specialist, and the 3 assistants, standard 4%. Groundskeeper, Sean, standard 4%, as well as on the hourly for our part-time guy down there. All right? Groundskeeper is paid out of the A side, so his overtime is in this line as well. You won't see it in Jason's side, okay? You see a $2,000 increase, and again, I've said it a few times already, it's the price of doing business. The portable toilets went from $4,000 to $6,000, and that number is based on what we used this year and how long we used them. Any questions so far? Okay. Next page, 7310, the youth programs. You see an increase, and again, it's hourly rates, it's staff, the type of training that they need, and the type of staff that we need, okay? That's an increase, and we did sharpen the pencil on that, and that's what we come up with at this point in time. So Jay, you know, if you see anything, you're going to be talking with Julie, right?
Yep.
And see what we can do if there is anything. Again, the budget's a work in progress until the night we vote. Next page, 7310. Again, you'll see the increase, and it's the increases in the prices for referees. For our basketball program, they're going to be asking for more per game now. Our day camp field trips, the cost of transportation and entry fees, day camp bus transportation, $8,750 to $10,000. All right? Again, everything's going up. Historians stayed the same for our town. I thank both of them for all they do. 7550, go all the way down to .4, Memorial Day flags and flowers, which the town has always contributed to. That stayed the same at $650. The holiday celebrations, they're going to need a few things. We increased that by just $100. And Community Day, based on expenses this year, needed to go up $1,000. So there's the increase there.
Yeah, I want to thank the town on behalf of the veterans and the Legion for those flags and flowers.
We'll be calling you instead of John this year when we're ready to plant.
Yes, you will.
Next page, 7620, page 48 of 80. Rec assistance, the 2 stay the same. All right, that's the 2 positions that Julie calls for part-time throughout the season. Right, Jay? Mm-hmm. .4, again, slight increases. Senior cooking class, $200. Senior bus trips transportation had to go up $1,000 based on fuel. That was the main reason, based on fuel costs. 8010, zoning. The zoning board members, per meeting, they'll be getting $60 per meeting. The chairperson, standard increases we do every year. Okay? 8020, planning. Chairperson, once again, and the planning secretary. Secretary for both planning and zoning falls under the planning line, standard 4%, just like we have throughout the budget for our workers. Planning board members, $60 per meeting. And they actually have more meetings due to the amount of projects going on and that they meet twice a month, upwards of twice a month. No increase from the engineer, no increase from the planner, no increase from the attorney. And the signs, I believe we just ordered some. That's why it's at $500 once again. Okay? 8165 is the land lease for the landfill that the town used to have. State retirement. State retirement is up $12,000 due to full rosters at Highway, at Rec, and here at the Town Hall. Okay? That's the contribution fee that we put in. Social Security, it is what it is. There's an increase there of almost a little over $2,500. Medicare budget estimates and expenditures, up a little bit from 14.4 to 15.23. That's the number that they give us, so that's the number that gets plugged in. Workers' comp, annual premium stayed the same. Everybody stayed safe and Stay safe and well this year. Thank you. Medical insurance, 9060. This is the A fund side. Yes. Again, this is for non-union workers throughout the town. Rec. Actually, Sean is in this as well because he's paid out of the A side and covered out of the A side. So it's rec staff, town hall staff, building department. That is this. Went from 212,271 to 240,909, an increase of $28,638. Yep, here they come. Wow. 9730, debt service. This is the equipment that we own, or we plan to own for highway, the remediation ban that took place several years ago, and the highway garage, okay? This is both the payment and the interest, all right? Payment stayed the same, interest actually went down, all right? Any questions on that? When it comes to the highway garage, we're still searching out the numbers.
Now, we're going into phase 2 on that, right?
We will be going into phase
Now,
2 and looking into that, yes.
Yeah, I just want you to know that I'm gonna work with Jason on that. I'm a professional electrician. I've had many of these projects under my belt. And I will spec it out with him. We'll go through a laundry list of what we need, what we don't need, what we can get away with, the savings that we can get on. LED lighting, whatever we can do for long-term savings as well. Savings on the front end, savings all the way through the back end. And I know the language, so I want to be fully aware of what goes on with the contractors and whatever, because we're not going to get snowed on this and have.
You still have what we talked about originally with the contractors that when we walked around?
Yeah.
Right.
So we don't want to get taken advantage of.
That'll help.
And
We do anything in-house?
and anything, absolutely. Up to code. Safely up to code. If we can do it in-house, we'll do it in-house. And however we can save on this phase 2 of this project, it's a beautiful building and we'll make it right.
All right, well, thank you. Help in the long run. Thank you very much, Jason, Jan. Next page, 9785, leases. New contract town-wide, you'll see 23 was a 0, but now we have new copiers throughout. The other ones were wore out and tired, and a contract came up. So that is the new lease for all 3 buildings, Town Hall, Recreation, and Highway. MTA tax is what it is. Page 60 of 80, D Fund, 5110, General Repairs. You're going to see the salaries there as per the contract that was negotiated and signed. 4% increase, like I've been saying throughout the whole budget. We base our increases for our staff on the highway. As of right now, it is 4% across the board. It is contractual 4% for all the highway workers. So there's the increase there that you see. Down at the bottom, you'll see the contractual expenditures such as crusher run and stone, blacktop, tree removal, oil and stone paving, light stone fill, everything that Jason needs to maintain our roads, rebuild our roads when the storms hit us hard, and everything else. Jason has always, the last 3 years, Jason has kept it tight, and you can see going down that line, there's no increase whatsoever. He feels the lines that he has and has been carrying is sufficient. Even with the few storms that we had this year, we did receive a good amount of material that he was able to use from the county in the last few weeks. So the material that we received from the county on the milling jobs that they do took place of using some item 4, for example, or some crusher run. So that's where he's been able to work it out. And truthfully, in a dirt road, I think, Jason, you'd rather use the millings, right? Yeah.
Pack
Yeah,
tighter.
me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
They make a hell of a base for a driveway. Yep. So you can see all the way across 23 into 24, he kept the numbers the same, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You'll see up in the overtime hours, we also kept that at 1,000, but I have spoken with Jason about that. If we need to fine a little bit, we may go there, and he understands that, but as of right now, it's still at 1,000 hours, Jason. And again, based with everything I'm reading, I don't want to touch it, because everybody's saying we're going to get hammered. So, knock on wood, exactly. The CHIPS, the contributions went up, that's why it's $180,000, but that is fully reimbursed, correct? All right. So, you see an increase there, but we get that money back, all right? As well as Pave New York. Correct? Reimbursement on Pave New York as well. Yep. Okay, any questions on that so far? D 5130, go ahead. You got something? Oh, okay. Machinery. All of his repairs, he budgets $120,000 for our mechanics and our guys to repair and get what they need to get to repair it. He kept that the same. Rakes and tines for the York rake, kept the same. All the way down, he actually lowered the tool allowance. The tool allowance is new. The tool allowance is in the contract that was negotiated, that if it's something that the mechanic needs, the town will buy it, and if the town can't afford it, or it's one of them issues, the mechanic will get it, and we will reimburse him. We followed the same lines as the county and the state does for their mechanics, and it is the same amount. Or if one of his tools breaks, we would replace it, okay?
Yep.
Any questions on that? Okay. D 5142, snow removal. You're going to see an increase here. .4 at the bottom. Sand, he kept the same. Salt went up from 145 to 154, $9,000, based on the price per ton. I believe it was over a couple bucks, 250, 270. It went from 72 to 76, $4, right? All right, so $9,000 increase, but he kept the tonnage the same. So same amount of tonnage he ordered as last year, he ordered this year, and the price of doing business is $9,000, all right? Next page, D, 9030, Social Security, that's a number that they give us, that's a number that goes in there. Medicare budget, just a slight increase, $100, not even. Next page, D, 9040, Workers' Comp, annual premium stayed the same. Once again, knock on wood, our record was good. Guys were safe, doing what needed to be done. And here you go. D 9060, medical insurance. This is for the highway department. And we're still waiting on solid numbers, but we plugged in what they told us to look at,
So much for being safe.
and that's a $65,446 increase. Medical coverage. We have 2 more guys that now take it, where they didn't in the past. That contributed to the increase, okay? So, you know, when I talk about everyday expenses, insurance, utilities, gas, fuel, and everything else, if you go through here, I don't have a true number, but you're looking at 200K in just daily increases. That's from the lights that are lighting us up right now to the insurance that's covering us. So it's a tight year, and you'll see what we got it down to at the end here.
You know, you try to save on LED lighting and all this energy efficient stuff, but then the medical cost goes up. It's insane.
Yep. D, 9785, leases, 2019 Dodge Ram 5500. Jason and I talked with this in our budget meeting. I think at this point, we have both agreed we're going to pay this off. We're going to pay this off, and that money will be funneled into Phase 2. Phase 2 when we get to the garage project. It'll be, instead of the truck payment, it'll be the mortgage payment. Yep. And we're saving a good amount on interest, too. Yep, all right. Page 69 of 80, SF 3410, fire protection. Okay, we are in a contract We took on a 5-year contract a couple, 3 years ago. Again, it's just a standard increase every year, I believe of upwards of near 3%. And again, being a member, I can tell you that the mandatory costs do nothing but just go up each and every year. The price of the newest engine that they just received, if you were to order that now instead of a year and a half ago when they did, it has gone up, I believe, upwards of $200,000 already. It went from 700 something to 9 something, I think Brian discussed at the last event we had, the president of the company. So again, it's the price of doing business, and it's a business where the manufacturers and the code writers and everybody else that sets everything in concrete, they have you. They have you. And state law says we will provide fire protection. So a contract is what has to be done, and that's where we're at. Okay? Fuel, just a slight increase. They're going to be right in the same ballpark, but to be safe, we added just a couple $100 to be safe. All right? I gave you a breakdown of the fuel that's gone up for us on the town side and the fire department. We're in 21 and 22, we were at 6,500. We did go over in 22 as well as on the town side, like I said earlier. 2023, we made it 8,000, and this year we have to keep it close, so we went with 8,200 because we feel it's going to be right at 8 or just a hair over. Okay? With this as well, it's been a request, and I did reach out to the tax department in the county, parcel, both the tax billing department and real property tax. The commissioner out there, what we'd like to do, if you notice on your town tax bills in the bottom corner, there's a breakdown. There's the lighting district, the water district, or water drainage district, I'm sorry, and then there's fire protection. Well, in that fire protection line, it gives you the emergency service figure for the town of Dover. Well, there's 2 separate entities in that line. So it was requested that we try to break that up because, as it says now, it's $942,758. It's not true. That's the fire protection that we are mandated by law to provide, and then it is the ambulance service figure included in that, which is a separate contract here in the town that the town takes out. So what I've asked them to do is, under fire protection, just the number for the fire protection contract, and then I would ask to get another line in there that says ambulance service per contract, or however it would be worded. Tommy, they told me I had to reach out to you to try to make that type of change, so that's something we can talk about.
Yeah.
But I believe, based on the figure, I think that people need to see the true cost of each thing, all right? Because now you look at it, you just say, hey, fire department's getting $1 million. Well, they're not, okay? So, and next year, and you'll see in a couple pages from now what I'm talking about, okay? It needs to be divided, all right? So that's the fire contract and the fuel that they use, which is also within the contract. Next page, SF 4540. And I think that's part of the problem we got to look at. It's still under fire. You'll see the ambulance contract. We are going into year 5 of a 5-year contract. Northern Dutchess paramedics will be receiving $292,426 throughout the year of 2024. That's what makes that number I talked about earlier 900 plus, okay? We'd like to have that separated. We'd like to read that separately, all right? Not we, the fire company would. All right, so it's broken down, and you can see where it's going. The problem that we're going to be having, and it's going to be a tough year, 2024 is a negotiation year for Northern Dutchess paramedics. And there are some very, very large numbers being given to towns this year who need a contract for 2024. Numbers upwards of $650,000 to $910,000 for a 24/7 ambulance service. So we're going into it. We're going to negotiate. We're going to do what we need to do. We will go out to bid, and we will go out to bid and everything else that we could possibly do to keep it affordable. But it is a service that is needed in the town, and it is a service that us, the town's residents, will end up paying for. okay? So that is why I'd like that number to be broken down as well, so people can see what they're getting and what they're paying for. Any questions on that? $90.25 Service Awards Program. This is the LoSAP, Length of Service Awards Program. This was brought in years ago under Supervisor French. It stayed the same. People that qualify for this benefit in the volunteer fire department here in Dover, they get an amount each year. It's like a little retirement type system. Okay, it was voted on by the residents of Dover years ago, and that stayed the same at $4,000. The fire company workers' comp, that stayed the same as well. So we're across the board on the comp. Library, automatic fee, $275,000, voted on by the people 6 years ago, 7? Somewhere around there. Yep. Next page, Street Lighting District Number 1, 5182. You remembered we were able to lower some taxes years ago. Well, we haven't run it down, but we need to start putting back into the fund balance to help pay for damages, replacements. So it's going up a little bit, but that is spread out amongst everybody that lives in that lighting district, okay? SL Lighting District Number 2, 5182. Same issue. There's 3 districts in the town, 2 of them are quite large, which is the one we just spoke on, and this one. You'll see the increase there as well. And then Lighting District Number 3, which is the smallest lighting district, we can still maintain that fund balance, and that is going to be the same amount taxed. Any questions on those 3? Okay. Water District, 8340. Nothing. Drainage District Number 1, Cricket Hill. Still enough money in the fund balance, no damages, even we got lucky during the storms. Jason only had to take a look at them. I don't think we had to do any work with them at all, so we didn't have to tap into the fund balance to do any repairs up there, okay? Drainage, the mills, same thing. And the revenue page at the end. I know Jay has some things to talk about on this. He's been working with Julie, so go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, so here I think we have some discrepancies on some of the costs that we have laid out for our rec programs for 2024. I compared it to what we had last year, and there's some inconsistency. So I'm thinking by the time our next meeting, I'll have a lot more detail and some additional input on overall averages costs for the programs that we have. So definitely a work in progress, but I know Julie and I, we just need to finish it up.
I got to get her a copy of some of the suggestions that I have too, so I'll just
Yeah,
I'll
so I
just give it
have,
to you.
I already wrote it out from last year's budget
Okay.
compared, so,
So you took them down?
Yep.
All right.
well, I have mine and you have yours.
Yep. Okay, if you want to go back to the beginning of the budget, go to page 4 of 80. That's the summary page. With everything we've talked about tonight, everything that I've changed and given you back tonight as well, we found to get to 2%, which is the cap, I needed to find $10,000. And we did that today. Myself, Nicole, and Tracy sat down. We went through this thing, some of the changes, actually the 2 mistakes that we found that helped. But as of right now, we are right about 2%. You're going to see 2.29 on your sheet, but that's without the changes we made. We didn't reprint the cover sheet, the summary page today. In her computer, though, we are just about 2%. Now, we're going to read a resolution tonight because I feel we still need to in order to, just in case, because again, some of those insurance numbers are told estimate this increase at 9% and 11%.
Yeah, that could
So
change.
last year, we were told 6 and 7%, and it came in at 9. So, we're going to read a resolution tonight in order to cover ourselves in case we have to go over the 2% tax cap. The correct way of saying that, council?
Yeah, the way it would have to be done is by local law, so it triggers the need for a public hearing. So the town board, since they're right up against the cap, could opt to pass a resolution scheduling a public hearing tonight, and then in the event it's not needed, then you could not move forward with it.
Okay. So that's where we're at. Any questions on the budget? I'm using a little more fund balance than I want to, but we have to. Just the bottom line of doing business.
A good starting point.
When are we gonna know those, like those,
Well, she
Set in
emails them
stone.
every other day.
They come in at the very last
They
minute.
came in late October last year, or early November was one of them, and that's the one that they told us to figure 6 or 7%. We figured 7 on the high end, and it came in at 9. This year, they're telling us 9 and 11, and we're hoping it stays at 9 and 11. But that may change, you know. Hopefully 11 doesn't come in at 15.
that's what I'm saying.
But that's the insurance. We're gonna cover our people, we're gonna do what we gotta do, and I'll find some more if I can. But as of right now, that pencil is wore out. But it's every day, it's stuff that we're experiencing on the outside. It's gas, it's utilities, it's the price of living. And here, it's the cost of doing business.
Yeah, I mean, you look
Saw
at
the
paper,
fuel
you
line
look
itself,
at.
since 2020, it's gone up over $20,000. So, you know, it is what it is. You got to do business. We got to provide. We got to cover our people. And I think with Jay working on the revenue lines and the program lines, if we have to cut a program that only gets 3 or 4 people and it calls for 12 or 15, then we need to cut it, and that'll save us money.
Yeah.
And we work on making the lines that do work, enhancing them and bringing in the revenue. Price of doing business.
I get it.
Okay, any questions? So this is the tentative. We'll move on, and we will go from there. Any questions? Appreciate all the emails and all the calls from all of you. It helped dearly, getting to where we're at. That's where we're going. Jason, thank you.
Jason, I'll be in touch.
Resolutions. Resolution authorizing the submission of the 2023 Community Development Block Grant application. Whereas the town of Dover, hereinafter referred to as the municipality, is participating in the 2023 Dutchess County Community Development Block Grant Consortium, and whereas input from citizens and groups have been received and considered at a public hearing, and whereas an application has been prepared for the above referenced activity which addresses our community concerns. Now therefore be it resolved that the 2023 application to the Dutchess County Community Development Block Grant Program for the above referenced activity is approved. Be it further resolved that the submission of the application to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development is authorized. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brought by Maluta, seconded by Murphy. Any discussion?
Could I add the name of the project to the title of the resolution, just because it mentions the above referenced activity?
Okay.
So if that's all right, I'll just include Mill Street, Route 22,
Crosswalk.
crosswalk safety improvements.
Okay with that? Good.
Absolutely, I wasn't sure what the board
Yeah,
was
until
going to
we
decide
decide,
when I
of course.
prepared.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Mhm.
Yep.
Thank you.
Motion's been made and seconded. Do you both accept the change?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Resolution to schedule public hearing on proposed local law number 2 of 2023 override of tax cap. Whereas, as the Town Board of the Town of Dover authorizes the scheduling of a public hearing at the Town Hall, 126 East Duncan Hill Road, Dover Plains, New York, 12522, on Wednesday, October 25th, 2023, at 6 p.m., or as soon thereafter that evening as possible, to consider the adoption of a local law to override the limit on the amount of real property taxes that may be levied pursuant to General Municipal Law 3-C. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and instructed to publish and post the necessary notices in the official newspaper of the town of Dover and on the town bulletin board regarding this public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brought by House, seconded by Murphy. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Hopefully we won't. Resolution authorizing supervisor to execute ban renewal for financing of new highway garage and payment of remaining balance. Whereas the Town of Dover obtained financing to assist in the payment of the construction of the Town of Dover Highway Garage with a one-year bond anticipation note ban in the amount of $300,000, which matures October 26, 2023. And whereas the Town of Dover authorizes the renewal of a ban with NBT Bank in the amount of $270,000 at the prevailing rate of interest per annum with a maturity date of 1 year. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to sign all necessary and required documents in connection with the issuance of the ban renewal to NBT Bank. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is authorized and directed to execute a certification of incumbency in connection with a ban with NBT Bank. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is directed and authorized to sign a letter of engagement with the law firm of Mackey, Butts and Whalen, LLP of Poughkeepsie, New York, as general bond counsel for the town of Dover in connection with the ban renewal with NBT Bank. And be it further resolved, as required by the local finance law, it is hereby stated that, A, that is a renewal bond anticipation note. The original bond anticipation note was issued October 25th, 2022, in the amount of $300,000. That note will be retired at maturity and replaced with the $270,000 bond anticipation note authorized by this resolution. B, said bond anticipation note will mature on October 25th, 2024. C, such notes are not issued in anticipation of bonds for an accessible improvement. The faith and credit of the town of Dover are hereby pledged for the payment of the principal of an interest of the bond anticipation note. This resolution shall take effect immediately. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brought by Maluta, seconded by House. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Resolution authorizing litigation counsel to withdraw notice of appeal. Whereas the town of Dover was a defendant in an Article 78 litigation filed in Dutchess Supreme Court, Index 2023-50796, and whereas litigation counsel filed a notice of appeal to preserve the town of Dover's right to appeal the court's decision, and whereas the town of Dover has decided not to appeal the court's decision in the Article 78, Index 2023-50796. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Dover hereby authorizes litigation counsel, Rodenhausen, Chale, and Polidoro, LLP, to withdraw the town of Dover's notice of appeal with reference to index number 2023-50796. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brought by Murphy, seconded by Maluta. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. At this point in time, is there any public comments? If you have any comments or questions, please approach the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Jill Fieldstein, Dover Plains. I just wanted to ask about the comment you made about increase in attorney's costs that you're going to propose for the budget, you said it was in part because of ongoing litigation.
Correct.
And as noted in the resolution, the notice of appeal was withdrawn. And also, it was my understanding from documents that Transco submitted in the case that they were paying for the town's attorney's fees.
It's not the only litigation we're in at this point in time.
Yes, there's, you mentioned two. Are there more than? Okay. I'm sorry.
All right.
Anyway, I also wanted to comment that if in fact you got your budget increased down to even 3%, that's pretty good, and I want to congratulate you on that,
Thank you.
given the state of affairs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for clarifying that.
All right. Anything else? Counsel, anything?
Nope, good.
Deputy?
We talking about this? Are we all receiving this?
Yeah.
It
Water
came,
plans?
it came to the town today, so I just shared it with you.
Oh, okay.
It's,
You can bring it up.
Yeah, I'm assuming that we're all going to get some love letters in the mail from the Dover Plains Water Company. For all of us that are within that water district, they've sent a letter today to, yesterday, to Town Hall here, and I'm assuming that we'll all have it. We're going to be looking at a 68% increase in our water bills within that district. 68%, plus a $30 surcharge per account. So there's a way that we can submit comment to the commission on this, and I certainly will be sending comments, and I hope others will join.
That increase, I believe, is a request to Public Service Commission, correct?
yes.
Yep. It'll say that in the letter, if you're within that water district. It'll
68.
Yeah. So, fortunately, we don't want it. Unfortunately.
And we have that posted, right?
I put it to
we-
the
we
website
posted
this
it.
afternoon, so,
Yep, yep.
just so folks knew that we got a copy too.
What I did forget earlier is, we met on the text MyGov. All right? And we're looking to go live with that November 1st. Okay? Text MyGov was approved a couple meetings ago. It is a way to getting information out to you, the residents. It's a little bit easier way for you to get some information. It'll link you to our website. It's just another way to get on your phone and, or your laptops. But what it will do is help us get the word out, instead of, for example, me using the social media venue, such as Ms. Fieldstein's page, Lynn's page, our page, my personal pages. This will also get out there as well, okay? It's just another avenue to see what's going on, projects that are happening, scheduled events, and we approved to do this a couple meetings ago. We met with them today, actually. The clerk's office met with her more than I did. We had a lot of stuff going on today. But we're looking to go live November 1st. So we'll keep you updated with that. Funneling the information off to the board members. They can speak on it as well at a later date. And so I apologize. I had that in my notes to bring up earlier, and I didn't. Yeah.
Was that text.gov?
Text, no, it's called, Text MyGov.
I'm sorry,
all one.
MyGov. You're right.
How are you collecting phone numbers?
Give her a flyer.
Yeah, on our webpage, there'll be what they call a widget, something that pops up when you go to our webpage, or it'll be through a flyer, and you'll just join from your phone, and then you can either receive text, you can send information in, so we're going to explain it at the next meeting, but just a new and different way that you can get information 24/7.
Okay, anything else? Nope. Good. All right, upcoming meetings. Regular meeting will be Wednesday, October 25th. We'll also have public hearings that night. The meeting after that will be Wednesday, November 8th. I believe we'll be scheduling on the 25th a public hearing for that night for the budget. And then We will be going early due to the law of approving and voting the budget in on or before the 20th of November. So the meeting will be November 15th that month. We probably will not have a regular dated meeting that month. So we're going to be going October 25th, which is a normal night, special meeting on Wednesday, November 8th, and then Wednesday, November 15th. Do we need to classify that as a special meeting because it's a different date?
Yes, we'll make it a special
So a
meeting.
special meeting on the 15th is November as well, and that will be the night that we put the budget into effect and adopt it. Fingers crossed. Okay. Anything else, board members? Madam Clerk?
No, I'm good.
Good. Okay, at this point in time, I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss litigation and not return to the dais. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and second to go into an executive session and not return to the dais. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So carried. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here and listening.